Okay, so now let's talk about two types of cache policies. We have the inclusive type and the exclusive type. Now, let's talk a little bit before it about cache. You have three types of cache usually, or levels of cache. Level 1, the fastest and closest to the CPU. It also can be divided into I cache and D cache for instruction cache and D cache. Anyway, this is the L1 cache, the fastest cache, but the smallest cache. Smallest in terms of amount of data it can store. This is the L1. L2 is slower but can store more data. L3 cache is the slowest if you have L3 cache, is the slowest but has the most data. Now, how can we store data in the cache? There are two types of policies, inclusive and exclusive. Inclusive cache policy says that the data you have in cache 1 will be copied and be in cache 2 and cache 3 also, and the data you will have in cache 2, which includes the data from cache 1, will also be copied and be in L3 cache. So L3 stores the data from L2 and from L1, and L2 stores the data from L1. So the data is copied. Of course, the downside is that you need to copy data, you waste memory. But the upside or the advantage is that if someone else wants to know what is in the data, it can only check L3 because it will have all the data from all the other caches. This is the advantage of inclusive. Now, exclusive cache policy said that each cache, each level of cache has its own data without copies. Namely, L1 cache has data that is not in L2. L2 has his other data, but not what in L1. Of course, this is much more useful for maximizing and optimizing using of data, but the downside, if a other processor wants to know, for example, what data is in this processor, he needs to check all the caches and not just L3 or L2 if you only have L2 at the biggest. So this is inclusive versus exclusive cache policies.